Welcome back to the Skin Deep podcast, and I have a special guest here. We got Nick Caruso all the way from New York. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We were just talking before off camera that we're both trying to quit bad habits. So we've gone to fake chew and fake nicotine and no cigarettes and
not fun.
No nicotine, dude. I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff, adversity that I've gone through in life. I'm sure you have, but fucking dumping nicotine well, so far is impossible for me.
It's the hardest thing I ever had to do.
Dude, it's crazy.
I still didn't quit it. I mean, I'm still addicted to it.
Yeah, me too, man. So, you've been tattooing forever.
No, 28 years professional.
28. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But let's start at the beginning. Like, what got you into tattooing? Were you in the punk rock scene, or did your grandfather have tattoos? What made you want to get tattooed?
At a really early age, I was exposed to them because my dad was a truck driver and he hung out with some questionable people.
Right.
So I started seeing them, and then I guess I got more and more into like comic books and music, and my dad would bring me home like tattoo magazines and stuff, and I just kind of ate it up. I used to copy the drawings, and this is back in the early mid 90s. And I guess I started getting tattooed maybe around 15, 16 years old illegally. And,
well, both age-wise, I would imagine, and so this is pre-97, right? Is that when the ban in New York lifted?
It was lifted in 97, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it became legal. But I mean, there were shops here, full-blown shops, and there was a lot of people tattooing underground. You just kind of had to find them.
Right.
And of course, I had some fucking dumb friends that, were doing it out of their houses. I had a friend named Anthony whose dad got out of jail and showed him how to make a Walkman machine, and we were just all tattooing each other at like 16 years old,
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, just really bad. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. I realized pretty quickly that I needed guidance. I needed to learn how to do it properly because I really liked it. I liked the art form, and it was the craftsman part of it that I needed help with. I still need help with it. I suck at all that stuff.
So beg to differ, and we'll prove that here soon. So was this your only career path then? Like at 16, you're like, I'm going to be a tattooer, and started hunting for an apprenticeship, or did you start to go down a line of like a truck driving job or something more traditional first?
Yeah. So I was working with my dad a lot. He worked for the New York Post. He was a driver, and I worked there. I loaded trucks. I did all that stuff. I tried to go to art school. It didn't really last, but I figured out before they made it legal that I really wanted to learn how to tattoo. And like I said, I had my friend Anthony who encouraged me a lot, and a lot of my friends were encouraging me, like, man, you should do this. Your drawings are great and whatever. While I was in college, my first daughter was born when I was like 19, and I figured out, okay, I got to do something for money, And so I figured it out that I needed an apprenticeship, and I just kind of started that way. But at that time, it was a little harder to get in the business, and it was harder. You could make a lot of money doing it, but you had those weeks that were just like dead. Right. So I still had to like do other stuff, like loaded trucks. And
so who'd you what year is this apprenticeship taking place?
That happened right. So what I think happened was a lot of people knew it was going to be made legal, so they started the process to open shops. I saw one that was being built before it was officially legal. I went in there and I asked the guy, and he said, yes, we officially open on this day, show up, and you got it. I'd rather not mention this guy's name.
Sure.
I'm grateful to him and all that stuff if he's watching this or watches it. But I don't really want it. He doesn't tattoo anymore. He kind of like screwed me over in a lot of ways, and he had a really bad drug problem. So I don't really want to give him any credit for anything.
Right.
But after that,
Old school apprenticeships, man.
Yeah, I was basically thrown to the fucking wolves. I mean, he showed me how to make needles, and
What's
uh,
that?
yeah, nobody knows how to do that
Yeah,
anymore.
I,
I mean, we
I, I
haven't done it in 15, 20 years, so I'm probably pretty bad at it now, man.
that was my first job. Well, vacuuming and cleaning the bathrooms was my first job, but my first in my apprenticeship, the first thing I got to do tattoo wise was learn how to make 7 and 9 flats and mags.
Flats, yes. I started out on tight threes, 5 liners, 14 round shaders, and 6 flats. That was
Okay.
how I started. I'm surprised I didn't fucking tear huge holes in people doing that, you know?
Oh, that's hilarious. How long was your apprenticeship before you actually went live on paying skin?
Oh man, it's hard to remember. Not too long. It was maybe like 5 months,
Yep.
something like that, you know? But I think he was more interested in having somebody in his shop mopping and cleaning and talking to people so he could go home and do speedballs.
Right, right.
That's basically that's what it was for me. I mean, he broke me in, but he didn't really teach me, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. No, and again, that similar to me, old school, like we need a body in here. And soon as you show some minor level of competence, it's like, all right, you're a fucking tattooer. And
Basically, he could make me money. Start making me money.
yeah, I would hate to see the first 100 tattoos I did. I've joked with Scotty. I was like, if you go back and look at my first 100 tattoos, I should not be a tattooer right now. Like somebody should have broke my thumbs with a hammer and been like, dude, stick with being a chef.
Wow, that bad, huh?
Oh, dude, I'm sure they were terrible. Absolutely. Literally the craftsmanship of them. You know what I mean? Like, forget the art. It was just, I didn't understand. It took me a while to really figure out how to put in a nice clean line that's going to last and shading that wasn't spotty. Do you happen to remember what your first tattoo that you ever did was
I do,
professionally?
but you got to give yourself some credit. It was hard to get information. It was not as easy as it is today. To be able to pull a line, you had to make your own needles, figure out how your machines were running, all that stuff. You couldn't get any information. So give yourself a little bit of credit. You're still doing it.
Yeah.
What's your question again? Sorry.
So, yeah. No. Do you remember? And that's for a lot of the people who are watching this, you know, this is pre-internet and you hear the word gatekeeping about tattooing.
Yeah,
Nobody was giving up secrets at all.
it was hard.
I actually didn't become a good tattooer until I was able to, um, you know, find a good tattooer who miraculously was like, dude, do it this way. And I was like, oh shit. And then like the world opened. It was like, holy crap, man, that's the best barbed wire armband I've ever done with, you know, like 2 little tips he gave me about how to hang out my needle and how to, you know, hold my hand. But,
That's why
and
it's
it,
important to gatekeep, yeah, but give people information that deserve it and pay it forward because people helped us. You know, if someone deserves it, I'm going to help them with whatever information they need. I'm not going to just give up all the secrets, but I've
right.
said this before a few times, and a lot of people agree with me. Some people don't, but I think it's important because, you know, not that this is some high and mighty sacred thing anymore, but we kind of should pass on some of our knowledge. I think it's important for younger people to have some of the knowledge and stories to know where they came from.
Yep.
Maybe they'll tell those stories later.
Yeah. No, to keep, Iggy and I were talking. He's been tattooing for 30 years. He's a tattooer here in town, shop owner. And we were just talking about like, you know, the lineage, the history, the common bond that us people who've been tattooing 25, 30 years have. Even though it's like, we're not best friends. I mean, we're states away. We've only really hung out and met each other a few times,
Yeah,
but there's a lot of things that bond us from learning to tattoo in the 90s because there was so little information and so few people out there anyways. We really, you know, it was 2 degrees of separation back then,
yeah, sure.
you know. But no, so do you happen to remember what the first tattoo you ever did for money was?
Uh, Yeah, I remember the first one I ever did, and that was an Operation IV guy. Remember that band?
Yep.
On my friend Brian. And I think the first customer I ever did was like a South Park guy, maybe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like 90, 97, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um, so how long did you end up working at this first shop?
It wasn't too long till I figured out there was a lot of sketchy stuff going on there. So I think maybe a year I was there. My friend Anthony, the guy I talked about before, was working at a shop up in Queens, and
Hmm.
he got me up there. And I was pretty happy to leave, even though it was a commute. I was happy to go, and it was like a real street shop. It was busy.
What was the vibe back then
Uh, it
in
was
New York, and tattooing just becomes legal? I
for
mean, because
me. It was
New York
exciting.
New York is an exciting place to begin with, so I can only imagine the tattoo scene had to be
Uh, it
energetic.
it was great. I mean, I was a kid, so I was just excitable anyway. I was just a walking hard on, and I was just excited to go out every night and sleep 5 hours a night, meet new people. And it was a lot different than it is now. There was a lot more energy in the shop. It was busier. You're a little more motivated, I guess. No matter how hungover you were, you had to do like 15 tattoos or whatever. So it was great. And I'm very grateful I had that experience because it's the best way to cut your teeth is in a shop where you're just doing everything all day long. You never know. 9 o'clock at night, a guy could walk in wanting a huge cover up or
Right.
something. You just do it.
Yep. Yeah. There were very few people with specific niches that's all they did.
Hmm.
It
It
was.
was out there for sure, right? I mean, there were a lot of people, but I think the majority of tattooers in New York were just kind of doing everything. Because
Yep.
I mean, in 97, 98, 99, the floodgates are just open. So, I mean, I was lucky to be involved in that. So I just did whatever the hell I could, worked as many shops as I could, said yes to everything. I just did everything, you
Right.
know?
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
We've got let me bring up, we got some pictures of some of the first tattoos you got. I know you said
Yeah.
your very first ones were covered
Well,
up like
my ones
most
are
of
all
us.
covered. Yeah, they were like jailhouse fucking tattoos. So, yes. So
Yeah. So
that
what do we got here, and who did them?
the one on the left, the star thing, that was by Bugs at the first New York City tattoo convention.
No shit.
Yeah. See the fuck off in there?
Oh
Oliver,
yeah.
yeah, Oliver did that. That's got Dean Williams' ashes in it.
No
Uh,
shit.
yeah. Those cherry blossoms were done by Mike Ledger, rest in peace, in 1998, I think. On the right there, that's a hula girl I got at China Sea. For those of you that don't know, Mike Malone did that, and that was Sailor Jerry's shop in Honolulu. I got that in also 97 from Bugs.
Dude,
Yeah.
you got some history, man. I remember, I mean, Bugs was definitely one of the groundbreakers of taking, you and I cut our teeth on JD Crow Flash, probably is what I'm guessing. You had all over your walls, and then we got Cherry Creek,
Cherry
and
Creek.
you open up tattoo magazines, and it was a lot of the same stuff. And then Bugs came in with this abstract style, and really was kind of one of those just groundbreakers in tattooing.
I think he was trying to do what Marcus Pacheco was doing, but did his own thing with it. And as a young tattooer, I used to meet other young tattooers that were all trying to rip that off in the 90s. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I had a set of flash that all looked like that with the swirly stuff and
Oh
the
yeah.
knee looking and. But yeah, I'm glad I got to do that. That was a cool experience getting tattooed by him in 97 or 98 or whatever that was.
And Malone.
And Malone, yeah. That's one of my favorites. The Malone tattoo.
So we fast forward, and you've been in New York. You've been tattooing in New York exclusively your entire career?
No, I moved out of here twice. I kept my shop, but I moved to Albuquerque for a little while. I bought a big house up in the mountains with my ex-wife, and I worked at a few shops out there. It just did not work out. It was not the place for me, and our relationship deteriorated, and we ended up getting divorced. I moved back to New York. At that time, I was doing the Paris convention every year and traveling to Europe and stuff. And I was at Tintin's doing a guest spot, and he kind of, I was really in a bad way after my divorce. I lost everything. I was sleeping on a fucking couch and just a mess. And Tintin offered me a spot there. So then I eventually moved to Paris for a little while, and I worked at Tintin's shop and did some conventions around there. Very grateful for that experience, Didn't really, I wasn't really in a great headspace, and I was with a French girl who we were not good for each other at that time. So I ended up coming back to New York again and starting over again, But
so what shop do you own right now?
I own Bound for Glory Tattoo.
Nice.
That's where I'm from.
Let's pop over and check out some of your work that you've been.
There's some tats.
Yeah.
Those are some newer ones from the last year.
So this, we're going from you say yes to everything to you've definitely developed a style. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Back to this. What do you feel you gravitate to? Like when you're designing a tattoo, when your clients are coming in?
Well,
describe what you feel your style is.
I still do say yes to almost everything. But I learned a few years ago, if you want to be known for something or have a particular thing you want to do more, only put that stuff out there. So that's what you're seeing here. What you're not seeing is all the roses and pocket watches and fucking names and Pinterest tattoos I do, because I don't take pictures of them anymore,
Right.
But I still do almost everything. I just want to make sure people know that. This stuff, I don't know, people have called it like neo-Japanese, neo-traditional. I don't know. I tend to think it leans more towards it's traditionally applied, but it's a little more animated. It's just
right.
Kind of how my brain draws stuff, I guess.
Yeah, no. Gorgeous work.
Thank you, man.
I don't know if you remember.
I did that one on the right, up the top right at in Columbus.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but back in the day, you did a one-day guest spot at Body Language, and I had you do a rooster with a noose below my knee, the classic. So I could say I have a cock that hangs below my knee.
Yeah, I do remember that, man.
We've got a young Nick here. What shop is this?
That, I believe, is at the shop up in Queens I just told you about, probably 1998.
Right on.
Yeah, look at me, man. I look like a fucking baby.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. I don't have too many photos from back then, I moved around a lot.
Yeah, well, that and also we didn't have phones, so you had to keep your photos in an album. This chrysanthemum's dope, dude.
Oh, thank you, man. That's a recent one too.
Definitely, I see a lot of large scale work coming from you.
Yeah, people like that from me. I don't know why.
Do you get a lot of requests? Like, how many big projects are you currently working on? Like a back piece?
Man, I have maybe 4 unfinished backs right now. I'd say at least 10 sleeves. There's a couple of full legs out there, a couple of outlined rib panels. I tend to try to finish things as quickly as I can. I try to get people to book all their, 4 appointments at once or something.
Yep.
But these people are very dedicated. There are a lot of pieces I haven't finished. Sometimes people don't know what they're really getting themselves into. I just outlined a guy's whole front the other day, and he had asked me, I don't know, 8 times, how long is it going to take, man? The whole thing. And I'm like, man, I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Just try to go by the hour, man.
Yep.
People just don't. They think it's going to be done in like 2 sessions or something. I'm like, it's your whole torso, dude. Chill.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how much skin is really there, like when we're doing a sleeve. You know, like I'll be finishing up a sleeve and somebody will be like, dude, this is crazy. I did not think this was going to take a year,
Yep.
coming once a month for 2 to 3 hours. And, it's,
Well, I do
25 hours or something like that into the sleeve.
I do like 5 to 7 hour sessions on people normally. I try to get them to do that. It's minimum
Gotcha.
3 hour appointments. I don't want to hear it. To me, anything less than that, it's pointless. It's gonna take forever.
Yep.
Try to encourage people to do it that way so I get more done. It's faster.
I wish I could do that. My brain, you've got me 100% locked in for 2 to 2.5 hours.
And then you're
After,
like, ooh.
yep. After that, it starts diminishing slowly, and I want to make sure everybody gets 100%. Plus, I find clients sit best. Everybody has their own thing. Dustin and Scotty will work on tattoos 4, 5, 6, 8 hours, and I'm like,
Yep.
dude, I don't know how you have that ability. Like, I'm jealous of somebody like you who can be like, hey, we're doing a 7-hour session today.
Wes, I don't like doing it all the time. Sometimes my mind isn't there, but I've trained myself to do it. I've always struggled with ADHD and other mental issues and stuff, but tattooing has actually helped me with life, focus on things and get things done. Otherwise, I'd be all over the place. I mean, I used to start 5 different projects and just walk away and then go to the bar and nothing ever got done.
Right.
So tattooing, it really helps you because you kind of have to finish this thing. It's in front of you. You have to give it all your attention. And like that one I did in one shot last week in Texas.
Nice.
That was like maybe I think 6 hours or something.
One shot, one kill. Wow.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's amazing. We got some.
Oh, that's me in Amsterdam. If you look close, you can see the joint in my hand.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, how now that you're 48, not a young punk running around, fucking off all the time, how do you achieve work-life balance? Because I mean, you're not just a tattooer, you're a shop owner. That kicks it up a notch.
Yeah. That's a great question. It's fucking hard, man. I have a little kid. I have a shop. I'm fortunate enough to have a great business partner who's, he started out, he was my friend, and then he started out working for me for 8 years, and I made him a partner when I moved. Thank God for Mike B, because I'm so all over the place and stuff. He handles a lot of the logistical stuff and the business side of it. He's there every day. He doesn't really like to travel. He just wants to be in the shop. And I'm like the opposite. I'm like, ooh, and I just run around. And so that's how that gets handled. I'm not saying I'm not a presence at the shop, and I still make decisions and stuff and do things, but if it wasn't for that, I don't even know if my shop would be open. I can barely do math, I was, when I owned the shop by myself for 8 years, I mean, things would come in and I'd be like, oh, and just pull money out of my pocket and pay for it. And I didn't keep track of anything. And I was bouncing checks and all kinds of shit because I couldn't do the math in the checkbook.
Right.
So thank God we got Mike here. So that's a little easier for me. But as far as drawings and paintings and balancing my home life, that's challenging. I don't paint or draw nearly as much as I'd like to. But right. I think it's more important for me to spend time with my little daughter. Look at that.
She's adorable, man.
Thank you. I mean, I make an effort every single day to spend hours with her every day. To me, at my age and stuff like that, I could kind of like sit back in my career. I feel like I don't have to produce constantly, and I could sort of enjoy seeing my kid grow up and being in her life, Because, I mean, my dad wasn't really in my life too much, and I think it's very important. So I do like 50-50, you know? Like if I don't have appointments at the shop, I don't go in. I don't even try to do walk-ins. I'll stay home, hang out with my daughter, paint with her, or draw with her, or whatever, you know?
That's awesome. Do you, it seems to me like you still do a lot of traveling.
I do, yeah. Uh, I think there's two reasons for that. One is that, yeah, I still can't sit still. Um, the other part of that is, I've been on Staten Island now for over 15 years. You sort of wear out your clientele in a way, you know. When I go to these other places, one, I like to be in other environments and absorb what I can from other tattooers, whether they're
Right.
shitty or they're amazing. I try to learn from everybody, but also it's money, you know. Like I definitely made more money in Texas last week than I would have in 2 weeks at my shop.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, I gotta work 12-hour days or whatever, but it's fine, you know what I mean? I feel like tattooing is in sort of a weird place. It's not really a secret anymore. I think people are starting to admit how slow it is and strange it is. So for me, I'm trying to be more proactive about that. And just when people ask me to go somewhere, I just go. Even
That's
if I do
awesome.
a tattoo, I'm just gonna do it. You know, because what's the alternative? I got maybe 3 or 4 days a week of appointments here. People aren't exactly beating down the door to get tattooed by me. I don't have a waiting list or anything like that, you know. So if I got a hole in my schedule, I'll go and drive somewhere and tattoo people.
That's fantastic. Well, you're coming here to Columbus, February 25th through the 27th?
Something like that. Yeah. I have that back piece I got to work on Alyssa.
Yep.
And so I kind of work around that, you know. Me and her will figure out a day, and then I'll advertise, and hopefully I get a few more people. But I have 4 appointments out there now, so I should be okay.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Plus, I'll be stoked to see you. I know we had talked about doing this in person. I'm just not set up for that. That's
I see
a
that.
whole nother rig.
Yeah, I did one like that with Eric and that guy Nick Swartz, and that was fine. But they had a different thing. You know, they had like a camera and a computer, and I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I'm
Yeah,
like,
no.
out.
This works perfect for me, and I got good editing software, so
Yeah.
it seems to work out good. Well, dude, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. For everybody who's watching this and wants to get tattooed by you, how can they get hold of you? What's the easiest way to contact you?
Easiest way is Instagram. I check it all day long. I do business through there a lot. Or email.
Okay.
Email is nickcarusotattoo@gmail.com.
And your handle on Instagram?
It's just Nick Caruso Tattoo.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, follow this guy. Check out his tattoos. Book with him. He says yes to everything. So that's a rarity.
Almost everything.
Almost everything. Yeah, no, that's where I'm at too. There's just a couple things at the age of 54. It's like between the eyesight and dexterity, I'm like, some of this fine line stuff, or also realism was never really in my wheelhouse. I pass that off, but I tell people, I'm like, 90% of the time you're going to get a yes from me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because we're more from the real tattooer generation. If I could, if somebody wants a hyper realistic, wet looking color portrait, I'm gonna say no. I'll tell them I'll do a black and gray one. Maybe it'll have a lot of black and contrast in it, but
right,
it'll look like AI generated, and I'm not gonna spend 95 hours on it. But
right,
you can do it. You know what I mean?
Yep. Awesome, dude. Well, hey, have a great morning and appreciate you. And I will see you on the 25th, brother.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on, and I appreciate you.
Absolutely.